it was, as far as, I think Rosebank was owned by the McLeod family, and all that those other blocks that we spoke about before, and all,
Yeah.
they were definitely owned by the McLeods.
Did what?
All the other blocks, areas we spoke about before, top of Mount Bruce and across the river there, they were all owned by the McLeods, weren't
Yeah,
they?
I'd say without a doubt, I think they were probably originally taken up, yeah.
That's right, I think so, they must have.
Even a 300-acre block at the top, he probably took that up for the timber, possibly timber rights on it. That's probably why he bought it.
Yeah.
Because there was a gap of, well, a few hundred yards of Farrison's paddock in between Dunvegan and
But
the
the
top
tram
block.
lines also ran up the other side of the river too.
Right
Right
up
the
the-
swing
yes,
bridge.
yes.
It used to be. I mean, I can remember when you could still find tram lines.
Yes,
over
on the
river.
other side, yeah, yes.
Was Dunvegan Sandy's initially?
I would presume so. I've never ever heard of any other
I haven't.
owner prior to.
Other than the McLeod.
I think McLeod took it up originally, and I think that's probably when Granddad joined. Well, he probably married the daughter, and joined forces in with Sandy. I presume that. Would you presume that, you fellas?
No, I think so.
So you think the farm was probably actually Angus's?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Granddad didn't have any money. I'd say that.
Yeah.
He had 10 kids and no money. Wouldn't he?
But he worked very
But there was no
hard.
doubt he was the worker. He did. No, you fellas would have heard him. That he crossed that river backwards and forwards every day in his dungaree trousers, and he always used to say that. And I never got arthritis till he died in '94, did he?
And he walked from town to
To
work at Mount Bruce.
every weekend he'd walk back after work on Saturday,
The man's
and he'd be
down to
back
Mount
in
Bruce.
time to start working on about 7 on Monday morning.
He was a vegetarian.
Yeah, I never remembered that. That's
Yes,
one thing.
when they would come home from cutting
Yes.
the bush, he'd say, "Come on, you meat eaters," and he would lead them off. He would be the first down the track.
I didn't know. Owen told me that.
I never- I
I didn't
never-
know that he was a vegetarian. No, Owen told me.
I never heard that. I
I
never
didn't know,
heard
but
that.
I don't know.
I was too young to take much notice then. But I remember we always had meat at the table.
Oh, yes, everybody was.
On Wednesday.
Oh, I didn't know.
My dad was almost one anyhow.
He never ate a lot.
Oh, very small, eater, especially meat.
Yeah, he was
Very
too.
small. Lovely vegetables.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, very small eater of meat.
Yeah, no, that grandfather could well have been, but I wouldn't have known that myself. I never ever.
And then you didn't go down to Hawkers, no?
23.
23.
23.
23. I was.
You
There's
were.
always one thing that they did say. Alan was about 7 years old, I think, and he drove the old cow down on his horse. From there down to, from Mount Bruce down to there. He was 7 years old. He used to be, he liked his horse.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying up and down the road there, the old, you'd have heard that Johnny Campbell's.
Yeah.
When they saw you, they'd run into the Manuka
Yeah.
along the side of the road. They'd run into the Manuka, yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
They were still almost
They were all.
wild, really.
Back then.
Yeah. They were just. No, he stayed there. And, well, I think when he sold it, it was worth about double what he paid for it, but it was
You
just.
get this 12 pound, he was well paid for this, wasn't it?
And anyway, that was still
How big was the little place when you were born?
It had 3 bedrooms. Shona's been in.
still there.
Shona's
Under the
been
tree.
in. It's got 3
That little old
bedrooms.
tree under
Three
the
bedrooms.
laurel tree.
It's got 3 bedrooms, yes.
Oh, it's got 3 or 4
It's got
bedrooms.
3 bedrooms,
I thought it
yes.
was a little tiny.
Oh no, it's got one. It's got about 3. It's got a
No,
kitchen at the back and about 3 bedrooms, hasn't it?
Not too bad.
It was lived in
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot.
Oh no, we.
That's not where they originally got married.
No, they lived in the mill hut down there for the first.
You were had to
down
come
the old
behind,
one.
that's still up
And
there.
then they moved it up to there, didn't they? They lived one down at the mill, down at the.
No, that's the one,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
and Grandma, at least Mum, took you up there and showed her the bulbs that you put that
Yes.
you planted round
That you
the.
planted round
And the
the-
hut that they lived in for the
round
first
where
12
they
months when they were
planted
married.
those, they lived on
The
that.
first 6 months or so anyway. I
Yes,
just
and,
don't know.
and all that were left were the stones where she'd made paths round
Really?
and planted the bulbs beside.
Still part around the old house in
Stones.
Mount Bruce, there's still a stone heap up there a while ago too, where you
Yeah.
had to pick them up.
Mm.
But yes, yeah. So they. I know that was quite a little bit of a house because we stayed there when we were short for your father there one time. You stayed there, we had a cook. Remember that? Lord Buick and you and I and
Yeah, yeah,
cook.
yeah.
What happened when they sell Hawkers?
Oh, no.
Yeah, well they were divided. John got, she got one block and Joyce got about 200 acres, I think, and I took 50 acres. And that was, I remember we said to Dad, oh, we'll carry on. It wasn't too good at that stage. He was a bit off colour anyway. I think it turned out actually a year or two later they took his appendicitis out and he was never ill again, and I'm sure that's what it was. You know, he'd had it for years.
He had peritonitis on my 21st birthday.
Right, but you know, he'd get crook and he'd be upset.
Put up with it.
And then he'd come right again, and finally it was they took his appendicitis out and he never had a day's illness really till he died, you know, apart from just the usual. But no, he wouldn't have it, so he sold it anyway. But, that was the end of Hawkhurst, part of our block, but Joyce's family have still
Shown us there.
got the rest, they've got the piece that's left there. About 200 acres, isn't it, Shona?
She's
We
not,
showed it
shown us gone.
There's about 200 acres, I think. But no, I've never, you fellas are talking about you, so I'll never forget one night, it was a Christmas, at that only time we got it occasionally on it. It was very seldom during the, you know, we went to town. Christmas Eve we always went. This particular Christmas Eve, we went to town, and I think your father was mixed up in it. We packed the car up at the strip, and they rented old Jack Cahoon.
Oh, yes.
He had some cider. Do you remember that, Rob?
No.
And right at the time we got back to the car ready to go home, I think Dad was a bit later arriving, and Mum, you know, well, all the cousins were know, but Mum was a fairly teetotaler. She, in the younger days, and Tom Dad got back there, held everybody up. Us kids were probably getting tired, I don't know. And he was as bright as could be. Where had he been? Oh, he'd been with Jack Cahoon, and I'm sure your father was there.
Well, probably.
Anyway, got home. Mum said, you dirty old beaker, you go out the bush and sleep out there tonight. You're not sleeping inside.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He didn't have any choice. But, and I'll never forget, Mum, later in life she mellowed a bit, you know, and I'd have a beer or two and that. You say, you dirty beast, and then she'd have a smile on her face. And finally she used to quite enjoy sharing with me. We went down there, she'd have a share or a wine. She really, in hindsight, I've had lots of laughs about Mum.
Tell me,
But
butting in, but the Christmases that we had in May, was there ever any drink?
No. Yes, there was beer there. And
Yes, there was beer.
occasionally they used to have...
You mean when
I don't
they
remember
were
seeing
No, do you have the shields and yeah, you don't have bullshit. They never had them on the table when like that. It was never openly knowingly having it, but they got it cut away out their own way out there, and then they'd have a beer and two, have a few more.
They did have, they did have. I think they did have.
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah, although we never got...
Yes.
We never actually been season drinks with them, but they know that.
But they did, yeah, but you know, no doubt when they were younger, they had
That was sort of the Irish style those days. I mean,
you didn't really, you just have it on the table, didn't you?
no.
Did always have that. Sorry.
Ah, yes, I remember your father with that, I remember that with that book, yes. Now, that was one of those soft top ones, wasn't it? Soft top ones. Well, look out,
Hey?
I said, look out, with me, that little thing, and those leather.
Get down the road, yeah.
Of course, wouldn't be very much, but you
Yeah,
think...
this is real, I think. No, I don't really think it's...
And then we come to Auntie.
Yeah.
The last thing. Oh no, Uncle Norm.
Just before we go on, they have floods and that sort of thing?
Bushfire was a big thing.
Yeah.
I'd still say bushfires were the things that frightened more than anything. Bushfires, yeah, they travel miles
Yep.
from where your bushfire was back on the back of,
Yeah.
you know, grandfather's place there. Dad said he remembers it setting a fire down at Dunvegan down in the trees down there. Right over the top, you know, just burning.
Lawrence Welsh used to be great one for lighting bushfires up there when I was going to school. And
Yeah.
we used to live in fear and trembling because there was a lot of gorse and manoeuvre around there.
Yes, we've got going down to...
And it used to be, I can remember hot summers we'd have stuff packed, you know, just in case.
They did.
Yes.
No, it used to be terrible.
The boys, the Wyeth boys used to do all sorts of exciting things, you know, on the way to school, and they were all for fun, weren't they? Really, they were good fun. I remember, you know, Dad and Uncle Dex, wasn't it, when they had the school teacher living with them, and
Uncle Arch, I think.
and Uncle Arch, and they used to go across the creek to the school at Meekimek, and she used to say, how do you boys get there more quickly than I do? And they said, oh, come with us and we'll show you. And so they went over and they tied the flax together. And she was very short-sighted, this teacher, and they stood her on the edge and say that you've got to get right by the edge, you've got to get right by the edge, and then you jump. And they got her right by the edge with her feet underneath this tied flax. And she jumped into the creek, of course. And of course they just said that was a mistake. But, that worked anyway.
You
But
would
they-
have heard
they
about
did all
I don't know who it was, there was somebody at the mill there, they had all these mill huts around, and somebody was pitching the firewood from the other huts instead of getting his own.
No.
And anyway, they said, oh, they had an idea who it was, so they got a nice big, I don't know which one of them, was some of the mill gang, they had a big, nice big lump of rat or whatever. They put a, well, you know, called it a pack of jelly inside.
All right.
And the next day, well, those days there was only the old tin sort of chimney. The back of the chimney was blown out, but nobody ever said a word about it. You've heard it? Yeah, no, that was another time. Dad was saying here, I was telling old Henry Christmas the other night. He and old Harry and your father and all the brothers were all sort of lived together almost when they were young. And old Harry said, Tom, he said, come with us up to Rimahunga tomorrow. He said, there's a few good fish in the pool up there. He said, I've got a hold of some jelly. He said, I know how to use it. And he said, we'll go up and drop a bit of jelly in and see if we can get them. So Dad said, right, I don't know how much, whether 15 or 12 or what days anyway. So they got the plug, you put the jelly in a bottle, I think, and you put the fuse in, sealed it around, and old Harry said, well, I'll stand up here, Tom, and I'll drop it in. You get down there, and the main thing is to get up close, because he said you want to get them before they, they tend to come round after a while, and it blows them up, and you get them before they go down again. Dad said, closer, Tom, and Dad said he dropped it in, and it went off. Jesus, he said, you need to go cut in half. He never thought about fish. You ever hear that, sir?
Yeah, I heard something about it.
They're going to cut it in half. I can imagine how it would. In the water. But, yeah. Come up closer, Tom. Come up closer. Well, Harry was a character of a man, really.
He was.
Hard as they came.
Your father was a great storyteller, Noel. You know, I used to, especially when they were at Railway Road,
Yes, yes.
and I used to sit there, and Auntie Ivy had finished most of her chores, and we'd be sitting there, say, having our breakfast. And of course, sometimes I didn't know whether to believe him or not, because I said he was a great story spinner. And I remember talking about the Morrisons, and he'd be telling me these stories, and I'd be saying, "Gee, is that right?" Auntie Ivy's saying, tell them the truth, Tom. Your mouth will be wide open to hear these stories.
I think you might have put him in a bit.
It was.
He did terrible things like that.
Yes.
He drove marble cattle through the Manawatu Gorge, your father, and Mackinaw.
Well,
I seem to remember hearing
the only thing, I don't know
They didn't
whether
have far over.
they sent some over to Uncle Ted's.
Yes,
They lost most of them anyway, didn't they? They nearly all died, but
yeah.
I don't know how they got them there.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you that.
You
I
can
don't remember them driving them.
You know, Brian?
I remember them sending him over.
Yes, I remember.
They nearly all died, didn't that right?
So, yeah.
That's right. Actually, when I was up in the bush, it was Max after was there, and see a lot of the bones of them.
Yes, yeah. They were quite 3-year-old bullets, something like that when they put them out there. But they were too tough. I presume they did. I don't remember them driving across. I can't remember that they did drive them over myself. I'm sure I remember. It was in my time. I remember going over to Uncle Ted's with them. The cattle was going over there. They were, going to be, going to be a good thing, and they're only, I think we're only saying £3 a head or £4 a head that they're paying for those days.
Big cat.
Big cattle, yeah.
Ah.
And Uncle Norm, when we went down to Marston, and we came down to Hawkhurst, and Uncle Norm lived at Opaki, and Dad and Uncle Norm used to ring each other every night.
Yeah, that's how they never, don't think they ever miss a
Never a night
night.
went past without the ring.
They'd ring up, one of the,
And I was saying to Rita, Rita rang me, and I was saying that with
every
Leo,
night.
you know,
Sort
he
of a
had
partnership
such ill
was,
Yeah,
you know,
health.
that's all.
probably is still there.
So he'd ring
Do
me
it on
and they
that
would say,
all
how's
year.
Leo tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know whether he'll see through the night, Tom. You know, he was so ill for so long. But they rang every night and sort of to say what they'd been doing and what had happened.
I remember Uncle Norm and Uncle Deegs ringing each other every night, didn't they?
Yes.
And what I could never understand, they'd know what ram and father, and I don't know, they all knew them off by heart, out of all the hundreds and hundreds of sheep. And I used to listen to Uncle Norm, perhaps I'd even be in bed, be sitting in the hall there with the candle, talking, and I thought, well, how on earth do they know, you know, families it's different, but all these sheep, they knew what belonged to who, and they were families here. But every night they used to ring each other, didn't they? Uncle Deegs and Uncle Norm.
And Uncle Norm Wyeth, what about him?
Uncle Archie and the dad used to, because all party lines in those days, they used to ring 3 or 4 times a week. They had a political argument, lasted about a quarter, half an hour. People were running on the line.
There's a good photo there of Uncle Norm and Auntie Doris with the,
Yes.
a really good one there, dressed up with Uncle Norm in ladies' clothes. And I always remember, I was so intrigued because they went into the pantry at home at Hawkhurst. They went into the pantry and they put cochineal on Uncle Norm's lips. And Uncle Norm put it all around him. He didn't just keep to his lips, you know. But he dressed in Auntie Doris's clothes and she in his. And Mary and Margaret were there then. It was Christmas. And I remember Margaret pulling up his skirt to see what he had on underneath. You know how things sort of
Stick in your mind.
Stick in your mind. It was,
Uncle Norm, Uncle Arch, Uncle Norm.
no, it was Uncle Norm and Auntie Doris, yes. And that's the photo there of them. But they really,
That must have been a Boxing Day.
it could have been a Boxing Day, yes.
No, that was up at Hawkhurst, wasn't it? Well,
It
the
was at
first time they
Hawkhurst.
did it.
No, it was at Hawkhurst.
Hawkhurst, I remember that.
Yes, it was at
Over
Hawkhurst.
Copenhagen.
People have got us one to have, I remember.
But it could have been Christmas Day too, couldn't it?
But they wouldn't have been there Christmas Day, did they?
I know,
Yes, they
they
used to
may
still
not
be some Christmas days today.
It's not flicking, I don't think.